Welcome to HortTube, where we talk all things gardening. My name is Jim Putnam, and this is a Variegated Winter Daphne. This is a Variegated Winter Daphne, a beautiful evergreen shrub. It has variegated foliage and these wonderfully fragrant flowers in the late winter. Winter Daphne can eventually reach 3 to 4 feet in height and 3 to 4 feet in width, and it's best used in horticultural zones 7 to 9. Variegated Daphne has a moderate growth rate. Right after they finish blooming, they'll put on 3 or 4 inches of growth very quickly. They don't tend to do a lot of growing in the heat of the summer though. Most websites will list Daphne odoras as part sun to full sun. I don't like to put these in any midday full sun. My experience with this plant is if the sun really heats the soil up in the late summer and you go a week or two with a lot of rain, that's when really they've become very vulnerable to root rot, when the soil is very hot around them. Typically, we're not going to see Daphne used like 10 or 15 across the foundation. Typically, it's not mass planted. You'll usually see one at the time. They're kind of pricey in the garden centers. I like to put them near a door where you come and go so that, you know, in the late winter when it's flowering, you can really enjoy it. Just make sure the space you're putting it in is well drained. That's the most important thing with these winter Daphne. They can also go in a container. You just can't use any typical potting soil because potting soil typically holds too much water. You need to use some sort of bark mix, something that will drain well between waterings. Of course, the main feature of Daphne odora is these incredible flowers, this little cluster that occurs in the late winter on the ends of the branches. It's just the most amazingly wonderful fragrance you'll ever smell. It's not overpowering. To me, some things like gardenias can be kind of over perfumey. This thing is just absolutely perfect. It's like kind of a fruity scent to it. You can smell it a mile away on a mild day. This is a variegated variety, and it has variegation along the edges of the stems. It becomes more pronounced in time. You'll see the older foliage will have a lot more variegation on it. I've included videos in the description of this video for planting winter Daphne. You have to take additional steps with these. You need to put some gravel at the base of the hole or mix some permatil in with the soil that you pull out, just to make sure that if you end up with heavy rains at some point, that the water is able just to pass straight through to the bottom of the hole. The first year your Daphne's in the ground, you are going to want to check it occasionally for water. And if it's dry, you know, saturate the entire area around it well. Just let it dry out again before you do it again. Don't put this on any kind of automated irrigation system unless you're at a beach, a coastal area, or a desert area. If you do that in any kind of inland area that gets normal rainfall, you're going to end up certainly drowning it at some point. I would definitely fertilize Daphne after the worst of the winter has passed. Probably about the time they finish flowering, you'll start to see the new growth come on them. Has this beautiful variegation in this particular variety. You'll get a lot more of that with fertilizer. So any kind of slow release fertilizer in the late winter, something that lasts 3 to 4 months. The best time to prune winter Daphne in the ground would be after they finish blooming. Again, this one's had 3 cuts made on the top of it here. I'm kind of scared of these, honestly, and I won't do a lot of pruning on them. I'd only prune it if it really got much bigger than you wanted to keep it, or it had a crazy limb on it, and just make sure you sterilize your pruners before you do it. There are really no chewing pests on winter Daphne, and deer avoid them. They avoid most things that are super fragrant. The main issue with these is obviously you have to put a lot of prep into planting them. You have to make sure the space is going to be well drained in between waterings and in between rains. I've never had one live more than 4 or 5 years. It's just, they reach a certain height and then I end up getting a tropical storm and 2 thunderstorms, you know, back to back to back, and it stays wet for 2 weeks and then there you go. But I'll quickly come right back and buy another one and put it right back in. Just the main thing to consider here is if you have one that dies from root rot, pick a different spot in your yard to put the next one. If you put it right back in the same hole, you're going to have the same issue. So what are you waiting for? Even though this is a finicky plant, Variegated Daphne is definitely worth trying. Thank you for watching my video, and if it was helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for future videos. Also comment below with any questions you have about Daphne. Thanks again.